Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? You know what his best move is? This. That's his exercise. That's what he does. He's sitting in the same spot that he sat in 20 days ago. Hasn't moved. That's where Romeo art thou.
I thought it was awesome.
Battle Royale right now.
This is the ideal way, in my mind, for Survivor to be played.
You know, hey, everybody, it is Wednesday, May 11th, 2022, and moments ago, well, half an hour ago, so we just finished watching the 11th episode of Survivor Season 42, titled Battle Royale.
Battle Royale right now.
Yes, as we saw the whole do-or-die twist played out again. I'm Dave Mader, joined with my brother Jeff Mader, and likely Jaemeel Robinson in a short amount of time, here on Super Mader Brothers Podcasting, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or you might be listening to us on the audio version. We're going to break down this episode, recap it, analyze this gameplay as the final 7 became the final 6, as we see a twist here where Drea gets voted out after the do-or-die twist where Lindsay was put in a similar situation to Deshawn in season 41, but manages to survive the do-or-die twist, picks the 1 in 3 chance of surviving here. Works out. She doesn't get voted out here, and Drea tries to steal Mike's idol, Jeff, and it doesn't work because Omar double-crossed Drea, and it was a fun episode, a lot to follow,
Because it is just a game, and it is just an adventure, and it's an experience with people that you're going to know forever.
Yeah. What did you think? How'd you feel about this episode tonight?
Yeah, no, I liked the edit. I thought it was a good Drea kind of like, I wouldn't have thought that was going to happen at the beginning of the episode type thing. But by the time we got to the end, like I called to Amanda, I was like, watch, it's going to be the same as last season where I didn't see her telling somebody, but once she told Omar about the steal an idol twist, I knew it was going to play out almost the exact same as it did the season before, which is kind of crazy that happened, Dave. That in back-to-back seasons, the steal, like the knowledge is power thing got thwarted by telling someone at the last second, and then they blew up your plan. And also the do or die twist also resulted out the exact same way, where she chose the middle box first, and then kept with that box on once the opportunity to swap was available. It was like exactly the same.
Yeah, but they didn't happen in the same episode last time, right?
No, that was different.
So we got a double dose here in this one. That was, but maybe the only difference here. So Jeff Probst was like, "Wow, this is a great episode." Episode, what was this, 10, right, or 11? He thought it was amazing, right? So yeah, he was very pleased with this result. I'm sure the other producers were. Yeah, I thought that. I was kind of hoping for Drea here, but then it was also kind of, I'm glad with how it played out. It was kind of nice to see the good spirits that they had at the end here, instead of just being like bitter and pissed off, and just kind of nasty, like she was just kind of like, oh, well, that's how it went. That's how.
I think she said, I went out fighting, I went out swinging or something, because she did. She played her extra vote. She tried to get Lindsay almost went home, and if she had, then she would have gained an immunity idol and been in the final 6. So really, it was kind of like the story of Drea or Lindsay tonight in a weird way. And Lindsay also makes that decision to go against Jonathan. The only person, I'm sure she didn't expect that, but the only person to compete against Jonathan,
I thought that part worked out a lot better this season than it did in the last season with Deshawn, because what I recall from that time was that it was Deshawn and a few people went, right? But Deshawn was already on the bottom in that situation, right? And so competed, but then went out early, but then was saved by the do or die twist. And as Jeff mentioned in the episode, did end up in the final 3, but kind of was like a lame duck final 3 finalist, right? And did Deshaun even get votes?
Yeah, he did. He came second.
He came second?
Yeah. The other person didn't get any votes.
It was the other person, Xander.
Yeah,
Xander. But Xander, I thought, should have got some votes, right? Eric ended up winning that one. But we're not here to break that down. But yeah, like I thought that it was interesting to see the showdown between Lindsay and Jonathan here, because just having the two people. Now, what if only Jonathan was going to compete? Then the do or die twist is void?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like that's the best question for the producers. Like, what happened if only Jonathan held up the purple rock? What would you have done? Well, he completely thwarts your twist.
Yeah, your twist is done. So yeah, like that's the part I couldn't quite figure out, because there was definitely a few more that did it last time. But they lucked out that it was it lucked out that it was Jonathan and Lindsay who have been competing head to head in all these competitions. Like they mentioned, like Marianne made the point that they've been kind of neck and neck in a lot of these individual immunities, kind of been trading it back and forth. And really, I thought that this could have gone either way, because I thought that this actually suited Lindsay better, because smaller feet, shorter, less weight. Jonathan was the beginning of the episode talked about how much he was struggling physically, how much weight he's lost. There was no carrot at the end of the stick other than immunity. There was no like reward challenge to load up on calories or anything like that. So
the one thing that really bugs me about Jonathan, his game, is that he hasn't really noticed at all that people want him out. He's had the luxury of having the necklace, but he doesn't, like, he knows people are kind of like, sour on him, but I just don't think he really understands like how much Lindsay's turned on him. And, and like the incident with Drea tonight, I think I understand where he was coming from, but at the same time, you got to be way more diplomatic in a game like this. You got to be nice. You got to, but I think he's just losing so much weight, and so like his body just must need so many calories, and he's not getting them. And Romeo's eating them all.
Romeo's scraping the bottom of that rice pot, going in there. Where's my Romeo clip?
Screw them. I'm not doing anything for anybody but myself out here. So hell yes, I'm gonna eat that rice. I'm hungry.
Hell yes, I'm gonna eat that rice. But back to Jonathan. I think this is him being diplomatic. I think his social game, not good.
Not
great. Like I think he was better early in the game where, hey, I want to just don't want to be like the target. I want to be a nice guy. And maybe he was able to keep that up better before.
I think it was different. It's different in the pre-merge where you're more of a team. You want your team to win, so you don't have to go to tribal council. So there's no chance you go home. It's different. You want that guy in your team. But once he gets an individual, like he's had Lindsay completely turn on him, who was arguably his closest ally throughout the first half of the game.
Well, who else would be, right? Like who else? Mike, I guess, because he wasn't playing with Mike until
Omar,
merge,
probably.
So. Omar,
it was probably Omar before they hit the merge.
I guess, but we've hardly ever seen them strategize or even.
No, I know, but he obviously doesn't get along with Marianne, and I think he can talk to Omar more, so that's why.
Yeah, and he talked about how much he hated how much Marianne and Lindsay were talking all the time. Remember, like that was many episodes ago.
I think it was more Marianne.
He's like, these women don't shut up, and when it's raining, we all have to live in this shelter together, and all I have to hear is them talk all the time. Yeah. I can't, like, at least when it's not raining, I can go fishing, or I can get away from them. He's just like, I watched his audition video, and he was like, I'm Jonathan. I'm 26 years old. I'm blah, blah, blah. And I am single. And I'm like, there's a reason, Jonathan. I think you need to work on some things.
And maybe he'll see this, like the show back and go, you know what? Okay. All right. Let's see. You get to see your flaws a little bit,
Well, I think when you're on a show like this, and plus social media and the feedback you get from the lovers and the haters, kind of puts things in perspective, I would imagine. Like I haven't been in that situation yet. But
right.
if you're a public figure on these shows, like, you're going to get all perspectives, and you're going to quickly understand how you're being perceived for good or for worse. And so, like Jonathan, like he's been this very impressive competition beast. He's one of like the physically most dominant players ever, but his road to win this now, even though he won immunity night, now he's in the final 6 and he's got a good chance of getting to the final 3, probably. But
Well, he just has to get the final 4.
right. But he has to get to final 4. He might get taken just on the fact that he's not as well regarded for his social play.
And if not, he'd make fire. And I think he'd probably do fine at it.
Like outwit, outlast, outplay. I think he'll get the outplay and the outlast parts, but the outwit, I think, is the part that he's really lacking in. Where
and they respect wit more now. Like that's just the way the game is.
Right. If you look at Omar here in this episode,
yeah.
Omar, like I'm feeling really good about this draft pick. I think he's got a really good shot here at winning this game. If he doesn't get eliminated before the final 4.
I agree with you on Omar, but let's say Omar gets taken out next week. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we get a final 3 of like something looking like Jonathan, Marianne, and Romeo. Who deserves to win the game out of those 3 players?
Jonathan, Romeo, and who?
Marianne.
Romeo's at the bottom of that 3 for me. So if it's between Jonathan and Marianne, if I had to vote one of those, I guess I would vote for Jonathan.
Yeah, I would vote for Jonathan, but I wouldn't like it. That's the thing. Is like I don't feel like Marianne and Romeo are doing much of anything, and they even have an idol. They have no sway of any of these votes. They're like they just find out what's going on. And they're like, great, it's not us. Like that is how they're playing. Which means they have no urgency in the game. They have no real control over really anyone's influence. And Jonathan's kind of in that boat too. Like he really is just floating, winning the he's winning the immunities, but strategically he's not really involved. It's been Omar, Drea, Lindsay, and that's it really. Like those players now, Dre's gone. So I guess a little bit Mike. He's jumped in this episode. What did you think about that? Did you think Mike kind of dodged a bullet here tonight? Do you think because he had a lot of votes on him?
Mike's been one of these players that he's been entertaining. He's kind of a character. He's got that whole New York, New Jersey attitude that he's sort of endearing in a lot of ways. On the other hand, like I don't find myself like, oh, it's got to be Mike that wins this. In fact, I think he's a little bit dumb in a lot of ways too, and he's not necessarily like. I don't
think he's dumb. I think it's more like he doesn't really know how to like talk to these people strategically. It's more he goes off more of a emotion and impulse, and he learned when he did the high vote, which is what we start this episode off of. It's kind of like getting back at High for making him vote out Roxroy. That's what this was all about. Right. And now he's gone through those scars, and maybe he's like, oh, okay, this is what it's like to be, a little blood on my hands, and now I'm playing the game.
He was high on getting out High. They said.
That's right. That's what Omar. That was. I'm surprised that wasn't the line of the episode.
No, it's Battle Royale. With Mike, it was. I don't know if you can a Battle Royale just be 2 people.
Yeah, that's why it doesn't make any sense. I mean,
Just
I guess. I think it's Battle Royale because, like, we have an immunity challenge, we have the do or die, and we have, the knowledge is power thing getting played. We got an extra vote being played. Like, that's a lot. That's a lot of stuff in one episode.
Battle Royale right now.
Yeah, well, it was more like a showdown, or because she said it before, we knew who was going with their rocks. But with Mike, it's like he's been manipulated so many times so easily. Right, like Omar, who was able to convince. He's like, High told me you're this puppet, which wasn't true, right? But that kind of Omar has been kind of pushing buttons and working things, and no one ever talks about voting out Omar. We've been talking about voting out Drea.
That's going to change after what Drea did tonight.
Yeah, but because when Drea was getting after she got voted out, she's like, I just want you to know Omar was the only one I told about my like knowledge is power advantage here. That and so Omar did the double cross because he runs right over to Lindsay and tells her, and she's like, well, let's just get Drea out because it behooved Lindsay to do that as well, right? Because Lindsay has the amulet, and so Lindsay and Drea both kind of say in their confessionals in this episode, it kind of makes sense for one of us to go here. Like if the other one becomes stronger, right? Now that
And
High
Drea was trying to get the do or die thing to work, and Lindsay needed to get through the do or die, and then she was going to have the votes. So that's kind of what happened at the tribal.
Right. And so they kind of anticipated this whole thing where Lindsay might stay, and that worked out. And then, it was Omar who had the idol. And did Omar say he's not giving it back?
He said he might not.
He might not give it back to Mike. And what will Mike's reaction be?
That was under the pretense that he might vote Mike out, which he could have tonight. He could have chosen to do that. He could have chosen to vote with Drea and voted Mike out,
Right. And kept Mike's idol.
Yeah.
Right.
But
and
the thing is then Drea would have an idol. So who do you rather have an idol, and who would you rather go against in the game, Mike or Drea? And I think that was the decision that was made by both Omar and Lindsay.
Do you think they made the correct one?
Well, I don't know, because I think for Omar, yes, but for Lindsay, I'm not so sure, because Lindsay seemed pretty close with Drea, but the problem was the twist pitted them against each other. It was better for them to have, for Drea to have Lindsay go home and Lindsay to have Drea go home. But they seemed like they were working strategically. They talked a lot about getting Jonathan out. So that's kind of where I think it's interesting how the twist really determined both those players' games. Whereas with Mike, he kind of was at the mercy of the twist too, because I think, it might have been Mike and Lindsay going home. Lindsay going home. Then the next vote, Mike going home, because then I think Drea probably would have played her advantage the next tribal council. But because Lindsay got through the do or die, then she decided to play it.
Right. And don't forget, Marianne also has an idol, but nobody knows this.
Right. Because she was smart. Drea, I'm sorry, that was a dumb move, you telling Omar for telling him that. That was really stupid.
Because I don't think she needed to, right? Because if she had done this without, they would have voted Mike out.
Yeah,
right?
Mike would have went home, and she would have got Mike's idol, played it, and then
for herself.
Yeah, for herself, and then Mike goes home, or maybe, I don't know, maybe Marianne goes home or something. I don't know if the
or Romeo,
yeah,
right.
So that's kind of where I see that. But yeah, I think with Drea, that was a bonehead decision tonight to tell Omar that, they were. How do you not snuff out kind of how Omar's playing this game by this point? Right. And because he's been cutting throats for a while. It's not like his first rodeo.
This was a big resume builder for Omar, but also a target. But you're a final six, everyone's a target, kind of, right?
Yeah, and you want to, win or have enough influence over two people, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Drea. Yeah, I liked Mike's poker face at the tribal. I thought it was convincing. It
was.
It wasn't like Xander was so over the top when he did it. He's like, oh, it was and played it up so big, right?
No one's more over the top. OTT should be Marianne's nickname. She is, everything with her is OTT.
She's like, oh my god, just how Lindsay at tribal was like, I kind of regret I made the wrong decision. She's like, you did not do the wrong thing, Lindsay. You should be proud of yourself. You need to know that. Feel good about yourself. It's kind of nice, but it's also.
I feel like it's like Probst in a young woman's body,
She's like, I'll be the new Jeff Probst, right?
Yeah.
This is what
she's funny. She's funny, and then you kind of roll your eyes and you're like, oh my god, at the same time. Like she has so much enthusiasm. It's like oozing. She should bottle it and sell it. It's there's so much of it, and. Mm-hmm. And then there's Jonathan, who's literally the polar opposite. He's just like, yo, what, what I'm just doing this, and people think I'm crabby and angry, and he's the complete other side of the spectrum from Marianne.
Yeah, they have like things in common because they're both like into like Christianity and like they've had their moments too and whatever. And so like it's been an interesting dynamic. And the other thing about this final 6 is, Jeff, 4 of them are from the Taku tribe, the Orange tribe.
Yep, and I have 2 of them, and you have 2 of them.
I have 2 of them, and there's Mike, who is the only surviving member of Vati, the Green tribe, and now Romeo, the last surviving member of the Blue Ica tribe.
Dave, I was watching the immunity challenge tonight, and I'm like, okay, so one of Jonathan and Lindsay will be safe, and one of them will have to get through the do or die, and then they will be safe. So I was like, if my player gets through the do or die, I have 2 players automatically in the top 6. I was like, oh, this is actually pretty good for me.
Assuming that Lindsay survived it, which she did. And what is that whole? Sorry, I always forget what the name of this dilemma is, where you get the 3 boxes, and that. No, but it has like a name.
The theory.
To it. The theory to it, yeah. Right, whatever it's called. Like there's Eamon was here tonight and he was watching with us, and he knew the name of it. But
it's the statistic that you always stick with the same box.
Right, and both Deshaun and Lindsay chose to stay with their original box, and it worked out in both cases. But mathematically, it shouldn't. But I think in the problem, whatever it's called, like it's this old game show where this was presented,
Monty Hall problem.
The Monty Hall, that's it. The Monty Hall problem. The host knows which box is the right box. Do you think that Jeff Probst knew which box was the correct? He knows, 100%. Right?
That's why he's like, we're going to open this one first, and then you're going to have to choose whether or not you want to swap.
Right. And you saw High's over on the jury going, you always swap, right? That's mathematically you're supposed to.
I got to do a radio theater as Probst. Probst's voice, maybe to do Geordie. I think that would be a good twist.
Yeah, Geordie might be a good one, or something like that.
That ocean is going to have something to say.
That ocean's going to have something to say.
That's how you do it right there.
Yeah. All right.
One thing left to do, win.
Yeah, just some random Jeff Probst action there. Yeah, and so, but it's interesting how you have that because they always talk about what the player's initial thing is like. I want to stick with my initial reaction. I want to second guess my original choice. And we were watching it, and it's like, okay, you got the 3 boxes, Jeff. Right. We all kind of felt like watching it. Number 2 is the obvious choice.
Well, I remember last season, the box he picked was the far left box 1.
And that ended up being right.
Yeah.
So next, yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Anyway, but yeah, like I kind of felt the same thing. I was like, I'll pick the middle one, and she did. And it was right. I was like, okay, like maybe, I don't know. Just sometimes your gut's just right.
Yeah, like I don't want to second guess myself. Lindsay had like her little backstory montage in this one where she talked about how she played football, right? With like in high school, like men's football, whatever you want to call it. Was she like a kicker, or was she like a straight on player?
I think she was a player. Yeah,
like
I said, that's good for her. That's pretty impressive. Oh, and look who's here. It is Jaemeel Robinson here to break down episode 11, Do or Die, here with Lindsay.
This is state. Okay, never mind. It says something different. Rogers
it's Battle Royale.
Says 10.
Battle Royale right now.
I believe you, Jeff. It's 11.
I just went by what's on the screen. You could be right. You're probably more right than me.
I believe
it's episode 11.
I believe you. I'm saying I believe you.
Okay. You need to know that, okay?
I'm letting it known. Okay.
Okay.
I don't want you to think that I'm hangry.
All I want you to know is you just be you.
Be you. Jeff, if you make it to the end, you're gonna probably win You were never on my radar.
Right. That was so long.
This concludes my TED talk. That's what I was expecting at the end of it. I'm like, aren't you supposed to leave? You lost. Bye. Bye.
Yeah, I couldn't believe. Like, I felt like I had to get the crowd from the Apollo to get the hook to get her off of there. Like, I was just like, like I was. It was so long. I thought she was gonna start talking and giving a speech. I'm like, Probst, you're supposed to do something about this.
This is
like,
the edited version, Jeff. This is the edited version.
And how long did it go? Did it go like 10 minutes? Like, how long was she there?
It went too long.
He was just loving it.
This is the ideal way, in my mind, for Survivor to be played.
It's ideal.
What's the idea? I don't understand. He always says generalities like that, and I'm always like, what is? Like,
He liked. I think he liked He talked about the camaraderie. He liked that they were. That it wasn't bitter.
Because it is just a game, and it is just an adventure, and it's an experience with people that you're going to know forever. I thought it was awesome.
It's not just any of those things. It has a lot more complexities to it, and it's $4 million. Actually, like, is it? Yeah, like it's.
Thank you.
It's a game for money. If they were playing a game for fun, it would be different. You know, but it's to change their livelihoods. You know, really.
Jeff, when Mike said, regardless what happens with Lindsay, she's a warrior, you know, after this. I'm like, she can't pay her bills with being a warrior. She came on the game show to win money. Don't give her that. It doesn't matter if she wins or not. It does. It does. Her bank account
Also,
cares.
there was a thing in this episode that Amanda and I agree on, and I think Jaemeel agrees on, that I don't care about people being competitors and getting to those. Whoever says that on Survivor almost always goes home. It's like, coach, I want to play with the best. And be
It was
competitive.
Drea, because Drea was talking. She wanted to make this final five because, like,
right.
To start the episode, Romeo and Marianne talk about how, like, they're kind of the outcasts. They're kind of on the bottom. That they might be running stuff now. You know,
they were really running stuff now.
Right. And then you get to those other five, which is Mike, Drea, Jonathan, Lindsay, and Omar, and they're like, we're gonna do this, and I'm like, this one of these five is done for sure. Like, you know, it's a kiss of death, right?
Yeah.
It just depends which one, because at this point it's not gonna go. And you know that Romeo and Marianne are the most safe. So Marianne is kind of correct.
Anytime there's a 5-person conversation, you know immediately that this is an alliance that isn't a real alliance. In Big Brother, it would be a real thing, but in Survivor, it's like, oh, one of these. You're right. One of these people is going home.
I never thought this. Is Romeo the goatiest goat right now in the game? Because I think people respect Marianne a lot more than Romeo.
Agreed.
Yes. But they like Marianne's personality. I don't know if they respect Marianne's game. Probably more than Romeo's, but not that much. Like,
Romeo, where art thou, Romeo?
Jaemeel, who wins in this situation? The final 3 is Jonathan, Marianne, and Romeo.
In order: Jonathan, Marianne, Romeo.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I kind of felt too.
So is there any way Marianne wins the game?
If Jonathan says something stupid,
right,
sexist, transphobic, Islamic
racist,
racist, you can just there's a long list of, like, he's like, I've been holding my tongue for so long, and I'm like, dude, it's only been 20-something days. You are screwed.
If he has a moment like this where
Don't make it seem like I'm being aggressive.
No. You are being aggressive.
No.
Yeah.
I don't feel like this is right because y'all are coming at this as like we're racist.
If he has a moment like that in his final tribal, he could sink his game.
Oh, that is definitely coming. Like, we know that Lindsay and Dre are gonna throw those stones at that man, and we don't know if he's gonna shatter or he's gonna actually have a decent kind of
comeback.
The edit is buried.
Able to handle it.
They are burying him in this edit more and more as the episodes go on, right? You know, it's kind of like they're like, well, the shock and awe of him winning these competitions is really like starting to fade off, especially when tonight it was just like standing up there on a thing and holding on.
Romeo could have won that.
Yeah. What about Drea's choice? Drea chose to not compete in it, Drea gets voted out here. So she made the wrong call.
No, she made the right call.
You think she made the right call?
Unless people ahead of time, or you look amongst the group and say, "Hey, can I win this?" Dre was not going to win that competition, right? It was either going to be someone strong or someone extremely light. So Romeo, yes. Lindsay, because she's kind of in the middle with Jonathan, right? But there's no way that Drea, from what I've seen in terms of her competing, was winning that competition. No way, no how.
So she okay. Yeah. Like, do you think like Jonathan was just he held on maybe by like you saw how quickly he came down once he saw Lindsay drop, right?
That looks like it's basically being crucified.
It's basically being crucified voluntarily because you have
coach's favorite challenge.
Yeah.
You know, you even saw like Jonathan was constantly like fiddling with his hands and whatever, and I'm like, I think that's what Deshaun did last season, right? Deshaun like just took his hand off for an instant, or kind of had like a brain fart and was like, "Oops," and like that was it, right? Because you're not tethered there. You don't have to hold on for dear life per se. You can take a hand off and you're done if you do that,
or if you take a foot off.
Yeah, and you just saw how many times Jonathan's looking over at Lindsay going, how much longer? I think the whole thing lasted maybe, 10 minutes, right?
No, it went 12, over 12.
12, okay. But still, not a long time.
That must really suck. If you can't even do that for 12 minutes, like that,
I think that perch is so super thin.
Yeah.
Right? That it just kills. It just kills.
Yeah, it seemed like Lindsay would have had the advantage there because she's smaller, shorter, her feet are smaller. It's just like versus Jonathan, but he had to run up the mountain 3 times, so maybe he can push through the pain a little bit more.
He's like the pull up champion, right? So like as long as he could probably, that's why he said I think his forearms killed, because I think he was literally holding himself up so his feet didn't have to take all his weight.
Normally 250 pounds, and I work out all the time. And on an average, I probably have 400 calories a day out here.
Well, yeah, like he that's the thing with a bodybuilder coming on to Survivor. It's no fat, and he's like just jacked, and he probably eats like 5 steaks a day, and like you know what I mean. Like he can't handle starvation.
I probably eat 4,000 to 5,000 calories a day.
Like if he was going to be serious with that type of physique, he should have been 3 months at least on like just coconut and rice, right? And see if he can kind of maintain like a body structure at that amount. Because
it kind of reminds me, Jaemeel, of season, I think, was it 12 or whatever, where we had Shane Powers when he just quit smoking. Like it's very similar. Like he's going through like this awful withdrawals, and for Jonathan, it's food.
But when you look at Romeo in comparison, who is not a bodybuilder, but was already rail thin to show when he showed up, right? And like now, after 21 days, this was day 21, right? Yeah, day 21. So 3 weeks they've been out there after this night. And so and Romeo is just like, screw them, I don't give a damn anymore, I'm gonna eat the pot.
Screw them, I'm not doing anything for anybody but myself out here. So hell yes, I'm gonna eat that rice. I'm hungry.
He was buried so hard too in this edit. Like the amount of times they showed him eating the rice was hilarious.
It was just funny. Like, I just scraping it out, and we're letting him get away with it. Mike says we're letting him get away with it.
It's funny, subtle things that they keep showing in the episode. So when Jonathan wakes up after an hour of sleep, he's like, okay, I'm going to get up and then we'll go to the beach. Like not even saying, hey, do you want to come with me to the beach? He's basically saying, you're coming with me. We're going to the beach. You can't stay here any longer. Right? So Jonathan imposing to Romeo, you're coming with me.
Right. No more rice for you.
And I'm going to get down there and I'm going to instruct them how to untangle a net. I'm not actually going to do it. I'm just going to give you like a verbal instruction.
Yeah.
I can't get in there, Drea. I can't get in there.
He's like, I've been doing everything and I'm catching all the fish and you're both holding the net and you're like, you want me to do it? Like that was his whole argument. And it was like, just do it.
It was 3 people with the net. It was also Mike, who was talking about, is like, this is the first time I've ever seen this thing. Like the first time, it was 15 days ago, seeing this net. I've never seen this net before. Right? It isn't just him. It wasn't just Drea who was mentioning, hey, can you help us? It was multiple people, but he kind of zoned in on Drea. And Lindsay just kind of like let it go to let him blab on to her.
See, this is the problem with, he said in a confessional, Jonathan did, that he doesn't want anyone to know how much pain he's going through. And this is like the Seinfeld thing, serenity now, insanity later. And I think that's what we're seeing here with Jonathan, is that he's tried so hard to just be a fake, like, nice guy. And now the
3
food,
weeks have taken their toll,
the 3 weeks, he's just had enough. He's snapping.
It never works. If you were able to like move throughout the game with at least a good balance in terms of your personality, right? You don't have to like always be on, because you're gonna slip. You're with these people all the time, right?
Yeah.
And the farther you have to like push back in terms of your personality, the harder it's gonna be at the end when you just are done. You're just done with it. Mary Ann, at the very least, is the exact same person you're going to see at the beginning, at the end.
Yes.
She is not hid her personality, right? Which makes her, like, she can overtake Jonathan if Jonathan slips too much.
Right. Yeah. He's like, Mr. Jeff, where's that Applebee's?
It's good. It's big. It's Applebee's.
Like the one thing Marianne did tonight where her jaw dropped and then she put her jaw back like she's a cartoon character. I was just like, you are like, she's the epitome of like the energy of a child playing Survivor. It's like if Probst played Survivor, basically. It's kind of like what Marianne is.
We said she's coming for Jeff Probst's job.
Yeah.
She's auditioning for CBS.
Probst would not be able to play Survivor with that massive erection the entire time. He's like, it's time for a challenge. He's like, oh, wait a second.
You gotta dig deep.
If Jeff Probst had to walk in to come on in, guys, or just come on in, or whatever he says now. If Jeff Probst was playing Survivor, you know who also I think
Come on in, guys.
You know who I think should play Survivor? Les Stroud, Survivor Man. You bring him in and just watch it on the confessionals, just bitch about how this isn't survival.
Put Bear Grylls out there too.
Bear Grylls, but two tribes. One is Survivor Man's tribe, and one is Bear Grylls' tribe. Everyone just hates.
And don't give them any rewards or any food. Just see what they do with it. And put some naked and afraid people on it, maybe.
Right.
Richard Hatch is like, I'm in. I found my in.
I'm back.
I'm back. I'm naked and people are afraid of me often. But yeah, where else do we go in this episode? We talked about Jaemeel. Were you entertained? Because Jeff, that was kind of what Jeff and I were talking about just at the top of the episode. How do you feel that this played out? Like just entertainment wise from an episode's perspective?
Okay. The whole do or die twist. I'm sorry. Lindsay should have went home. You can't have a twist like that with the odds they are and both people survive. No.
Something's up.
Yeah.
Something's up. That's what I think.
If it was Mary Ann, she would have been gone. Jeff would have did like a switcheroo and there would have been a skull popping out of there for her.
Do you think there was a magic trick going on here?
I think so. There's no way. Jeff loves Lindsay way too much. Right?
Yeah.
He loves it way too much. If it was Romeo, gone. All of them would have been skulls. All.
Yeah. They wouldn't even show them.
Are you going to show us the flame? Nah, we're good. Bye, Romeo.
No, Romeo, see you later. No, you can just walk right over there and be on jury. Okay.
Yeah. We're not even going to take out. Oh, I already snuffed your flame before you showed up already. You don't have to worry about that.
Does Jeff love Jonathan, or is it Jonathan a bad guy to have Jeff?
No, he likes Jonathan.
He likes Jonathan.
Yeah.
But he's impressed by him in the challenges.
If Jonathan didn't compete tonight, he would have hated Jonathan. But Jonathan is the type of person that he's going to compete in every challenge. Jeff's going to love him.
What do you think?
Jonathan is ripping through the water.
What do you think about all 5 people deciding not to play? Like it was only Lindsay and Jonathan, which basically made it a showdown. Who's winning immunity and who's winning do or die?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember how many people did the do or die in the previous season.
It was more. It was like at least 4.
Okay.
It was like maybe 3. It was not 2. It was not a showdown. But
do or
this
die.
was-
Here it goes. Okay. Castaways placed a ball on a cylinder.
So like last week's challenge.
Yeah.
Only Heather and Leanna chose not to participate last time.
So
So
a lot.
Everyone else did.
So Deshaun, Erica, Ricard, and Xander all competed.
For
And
4.
Danny won.
Okay, so 5 of them. 5
Yeah.
of them did, out of the
So
7.
it was the same amount of people, but it was a
It
different.
was the
result here.
opposite. It was the opposite. It was 5 competed, 2 set out, whereas here it was 2 competed, 5 set out.
Right.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. Like just the fact that both seasons went the same way is a little suspicious. because yeah, like
both of them stayed. Both of them never changed their choice.
Right,
That
both of
makes
them
even more
stayed.
suspect.
Mathematically, that shouldn't even happen.
I'm pretty sure Deshaun picked the box number 1, and Lindsay here picks box number 2. But they both stayed,
And they both have the chance to swap, and they don't, and they both works out for both of them.
Yeah,
right.
Which is technically mathematically the wrong play.
Right, as Hai was pointing out as he's whispering on the jury, he's like, you always swap in this situation. Does Lindsay know that? Did Deshaun know that when they did it? I get maybe not.
Why do you always swap? Because that's the Monty
Because
problem.
mathematically, the odds are in the favor of the one that you didn't choose.
Because the thing is, what Jeff does is he chooses to show you which he's like, okay, you have that one. I'm going to open this one. So he knows that one he's opening is not going to be the fire, right? So he's either so let's say you pick the right one, right? So he's going to show you a skull, right? And so you're now there's a 50-50 chance you have the skull or not. You have the skull or you have the fire, right? But he's also choosing which box to open. So that's why you're supposed to swap, because the chances are
the box that the unknown box is supposed to be higher than the box that you have.
But in the Monty Hall thing, the host wants to screw you over. The host doesn't want this to work out. It's kind of the opposite here.
Well, here's the thing. I think say you picked the wrong box. You picked the skull box, okay? But Jeff still does the same thing. He opens the other skull box.
Correct.
And then goes, you can swap.
That's why you should swap.
But what are the chances of that
you have a 2 out of 3 chance of picking the wrong box?
True, but what are the chances like he's picking, like, I don't know. I understand in this situation why you would keep your box, because I'm going to be like, oh, so wait, I got it wrong and you still opened the wrong box, like the skull, another skull box. And now, like, I just wouldn't believe it. I'd be like, I must have chose right. It's probably that's not what I would have thought.
Well, that's why it's this conundrum, because it's meant to mentally screw with you, I think, in that way, because you're like, well, maybe I picked right from the beginning. Maybe you're just messing with me,
right?
Or they know you don't have it, right? And so like it's like there's gonna be like that whole disappointment, like you should have swapped, but I think for a game show that works better. But here the host has all the power, and the host can kind of manipulate this. Like to Jameel's point, like depending on what maybe they want to happen, and obviously, like it was just interesting. I listened to like a recent podcast with Sister Nino and the other survivor Know-It-All, Fishback, right? And he was talking about when he got like his one of his advantages, right, in that most recent season that he played in, and he talked about how the producers are like, "What do you think the power should do? How do you think it should work?" He's like, "What?" What? Yeah.
Like, what was it? His extra vote or
no? It was like his whatever advantage he got like late in that game, right?
A weird one.
Yeah. We should look that up. But
right.
But it was kind of a new twist. It hadn't been fully explored in the game yet.
Right. And they're trying to get him the right to show.
Right. Yeah. And they're like, how do you think this? We're not really sure, and we can make it up as we go. We have that option.
Well, okay. I mean, maybe that's a good idea sometimes, but I don't know. I think you should kind of have your twist figured out before you go shoot this show. You know.
Right.
No,
So this
we
is
just
where
have 200 one. There's so many to keep track of, Jeff.
Right.
Just too many.
Right. They just.
But this is where the fans get paranoid, and the fans, like, whether it be Survivor or Big Brother, the production is pulling strings to help certain people win, and
they're telling a story. They don't even care, who
Yeah.
wins. They just want the story to be good.
Why would they care who wins? They just want them. They want the most ratings. They want the most views.
That's last season. Last season was a prime example of that. We don't care who wins. We're just going to tell a story, and we'll just flip it to whoever wins at the end, because that's how it felt. We never saw the story.
No, we never saw Erica winning that. Even like 11 episodes in, I think we were like, all right, like I think there was no telegraphing of Erica winning. It seemed like Sham was going to win.
Yeah.
The whole time.
Or Ricard.
And then Ricard seemed like he was the shoe-in to win, and then all of a sudden Erica wins.
Or Xander. It felt like he was going to be like the
It
story.
was going to be Xander or Deshaun, and I see more Xander from the way that the edit was, and then all of a sudden it's like Xander gets what? He didn't even get a vote.
No, he didn't even get a vote. Deshaun got more votes than Xander.
Yeah.
Somehow.
And then all of a sudden Erica wins, and you're like, why? Like not that Erica wasn't like a good character, but she didn't do that much in the game. Like she was.
Jeff, that isn't her fault. That's the producer's fault. In terms
I agree.
Of how to put the show together. So if you or a viewer like myself say, I don't understand how this character won,
right?
That's on them.
Oh yeah,
they put the show together.
No, absolutely. And like, that one was so confusing last year because I was like, I kind of want Xander to win, but at the same time, I don't. And then I was like, Erica, I just don't think, I didn't see her enough. She smashed an hourglass.
I smashed the hourglass and I changed the course of history.
And that was like her thing in the show. And that was it. Really.
But Xander also, like, he just stopped being a threat.
Right.
Like, five tribals before the end of the game.
Yeah,
and
he lost.
It just seems so curious as to why aren't they voting this dude out, not knowing that like literally the entire jury hated this dude.
I don't represent a people.
Is Jonathan like this season Xander?
No, I don't think so. I don't think people hate him that much.
He's like this season's Danny.
Yeah.
I think he's sort of, but even less, Deshaun.
Yeah, that's probably a better.
Romeo is this season's Deshaun, I think.
Yes. Wait,
Yes.
really? Deshaun?
I think Marianne is this season's Deshaun.
Yes, I would agree. I think like Romeo is Xander.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Xander candy. This is like my kind of food.
This is my Xander candy, man.
Xander was much better at the confessionals and selling himself on the show. Romeo is like, yeah, I ate that rice and I don't care. And I'm going to sit here like a little rat and eat this out of the bowl. And like, he's like,
if there was if there was another hero versus villains, he would be in the villains.
Screw them. I'm not doing anything for anybody but myself out here. So hell yes, I'm going to eat that rice. I'm hungry.
Hell yes.
I'm hungry.
Rat floater. Like, he's a straight up rat floater.
Yeah, it's kind of
no shot to win. Like they'll never respect him enough to give him the win.
Oh my God. He was the only other person that voted for Mike. I guarantee.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't see the votes, but
It was him and
I saw.
Drea. Drea with the two
twice.
votes. Three.
Oh yeah, I got the votes.
It was Romeo, right? It had to have been.
Yeah, because when they did that, the vote change,
it was Romeo.
change. Yeah, and
two votes. Drea had 2 votes, and
when he looked back and he's like, "Are we still voting for Mike?" And no one answered. I'm like, dude, he's no clue.
Marianne has more respect than Romeo.
Yes.
Absolutely, she's been involved in all the votes. She gets told what to do, and she does it. But it's just surprising that she keeps her mouth shut, except for the one vote where it was going to be Drea, and it's, but it was she's
only been on the wrong side of the vote once, and that's when she voted for Romeo instead of Chanel.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Drea's never gonna vote. Like, looking at who's left, Drea's not voting for Romeo.
Drea, I think would vote for Marianne over Jonathan. So that's like one vote right there.
Yeah, probably.
Do you think that the final four could end up being the Taku four, the orange?
Yes, I do. Because who are the other two people? It's Mike and Romeo. Yeah,
They're the only
if
two
Mike,
survivor members of their two tribes, respectively.
And if Mike goes home, I could see that, because then,
Well, I think Mike's the most obvious target to get out. Maybe
Next, really?
Well, Jonathan will be number one.
Okay, Jonathan's the most obvious, but let's say Jonathan wins immunity again. Then wouldn't you want to? I think that Omar has probably put more of a target on his back now, but maybe he keeps Mike's idol. I don't know.
Isn't oh.
Well, why were you shocked that Marianne voted for Drea? Because of their whole stand up and play their idols together?
Yes, I mean, I think it is
if you just said it yourself, Marianne don't care about that.
Well, I know, but that's not what she said 2 tribals ago.
That don't matter. That was then. This is now.
That was then. Tori went home in the meantime, so we're good.
She prayed on it, and she was told to vote for Drea.
And then, did you guys like tonight where Omar and he was like, I gotta go pray, and then Drea was like, well, I'm observing everything.
I'm observing. Really I see people go for firewood, they come back with no wood. I see people go to the well, come back with no water.
I see people pray for 5 minutes, and then they acting like they're still praying. It's like
kill.
Guys, the next episode is called Caterpillar to a Butterfly.
Oh, so Marianne's winning.
Marianne's winning this game? You think that's the story?
Immunity. Well, it's either Marianne or Romeo is winning immunity.
I love the preview for next week. I'm not a goat. I have agency in this game.
Who was that? Marianne who said that?
Marianne. I'm just like, oh my god.
She's winning immunity.
She's winning immunity.
She has an idol. She's like,
and she has the idol, and she didn't tell anybody. Drea could have stolen. If she had told Drea or anybody, Drea could have stole her idol instead of Mike's.
Marianne's safe. Marianne is safe next week, and so is Omar if he keeps Mike's idol. So those two people are safe, guaranteed, because the idols are only to final 6.
So is Lindsay.
Lindsay is safe next week. Why? Because she has the amulet.
Yes.
Right. So she's safe. Then that leaves Romeo, Jonathan, and Mike. So one of those 3 people are going to happen.
Here's what's going to happen. Marianne's going to win immunity. Marianne's going to give Romeo her immunity idol.
Yeah. That is kind of, isn't that who she was talking to? And she's like, I have power in this game and I'm going to do something. And yeah.
So just imagine that it's only Mike and Omar and Jonathan who are left available to vote.
Or maybe she won't win immunity, but maybe she'll realize she's not going home. Nobody's voting for her. So she'll play it on Romeo anyway, just to change the vote.
Maybe. Would you waste a vote on Romeo when there's all these big threats?
Well, that's it. You got to play your idol anyway, right? If you're Marianne, right? And if the votes aren't coming toward you, it's either Jonathan or Mike's, let's say, right? Then you just play for Romeo, and then he's safe.
Because he's a great guy to sit against at the end, because no one's going to vote for him. So voting him out doesn't make a lot of sense.
I would want to pay this dude money to run as a political candidate. Because I don't think anyone would vote for him.
Okay, so listen to this scenario, because let's say Jonathan wins immunity again next week, which he very well could, right? Then it's between Mike and Romeo, basically.
Well, Mike is going to ask for his idol back. Omar's going to say no. Rightfully so.
How is that going to go? How is that conversation going to go?
Not well. Not well.
If I was Omar, I would say this is the price of me saving your ass. I saved your ass at this tribal, and this is my fee. I'm taking your idol.
Yeah, I could see that. And then, okay, so Jonathan wins immunity. So then it's really only between Mike and Romeo. And so Marianne could then play the idol for Romeo, and then negate a bunch of Romeo votes, and then Mike goes home. I could see that.
We never talk about Omar. Why wouldn't anybody put votes on Omar? Yeah, he might keep Mike's idol, he might not. But chances of him winning immunity. But I guess there always seems like there's a bigger physical threat than Omar. So Omar is, but like the social game and the moves Omar has played.
I think that if he keeps the idol, right, people are gonna be looking at him more. If he gives it back to Mike, he'll be okay.
So he'll give it back.
There's no guarantee.
I
think
know.
Omar's too smart to shoot himself in the foot. So
I don't know. Omar is a ruthless player. Like he
don't care about those people's feelings.
Yeah, he
no, but is he smart? Is he self-aware enough, I guess, to understand that how that move will be perceived if he does it or not?
Well, that depends. Like Mike will be mad, but what everyone else? They might respect it.
Right.
Information is the most powerful thing in the game right now.
That's my only Omar quote. Yeah,
that's it. You know what? He
didn't get high on high.
I didn't get high on high.
Oh, that was good.
I didn't get that.
Omar's been good, but at the same time, I think he's a threat for these next two votes. Because he really kind of Drea threw him under the bus there with the whole. Omar's the only one I told, and that's gonna hurt him in one of the next.
Yeah, well, I guess they may not have known that already. So
well, Mike did.
Mike knew, and Lindsay knew.
Right.
So
really,
Jonathan and Marianne knew a little bit because they were on the right side of the vote.
And Romeo
wasn't. Romeo, they probably didn't tell Romeo.
No, Romeo's eating all the rice. He's busy.
Romeo, where's our Romeo is the name of the game because they're just like screw this guy. He barely knows what's going on.
Romeo, where art thou, Romeo?
Yeah. Eating the rice. That there art thou.
He's scraping the spoon.
Lick the spoon.
Anyway, I think this is an interesting final six. I think that this cast has been really good, and that this season has played out really fun. So hats off to them.
With the exception of Romeo winning, I could see anyone else winning. If they let Romeo win, like if it just all of a sudden Romeo wins, I'd be like, what the hell is going on with the producers?
If they're like the winner of season 42 and they hold up Marianne, are you gonna lose it?
I could understand Marianne at this point as we're trickling down, especially if she's against like Jonathan and Romeo and Jonathan just goes off the handle. I can accept that.
Okay.
Romeo, I can't understand. I don't know what kind of self-destruction would occur between the two of them for Romeo to be the better choice.
But she won't win against Lindsay.
No, Lindsay would murder her
in the end. Or Mike.
Yeah.
If they let Mike get to the end, I'm just like, no. Dude.
I could see it being like a Mike, Lindsay, Jonathan final three and Lindsay winning.
What if it was like Marianne, Omar, and Lindsay?
I think Omar would probably win.
It would be a hard. I think you would start seeing a lot of people vote for Lindsay. That you like Mike and
Jonathan would.
Mike and Jonathan would vote for Lindsay. Probably Drea too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it comes down to what you respect. Do you respect Omar's more social devious game, or
I think they respect Omar's game, but I think Lindsay had the stronger social game with all those individuals in mind because she didn't even though Jonathan pissed the hell out of her, she still was like a welcome ear to Jonathan. Omar still trusted Lindsay regardless. Drea still trusted Lindsay and still respects Lindsay at this point. Marianne too. Like a lot of these people like her, and it's not like she's ducked anything. She just proved it now by the
do
or die by surviving that. That's
everyone's Mike's giving her props. Everyone.
Yeah, so she has a really impressive resume, Lindsay, and I think that it would be probably her game, and Omar probably recognizes that. So
it would be a great final three with two of them there.
Well,
Marianne would be in the Xander role, getting no votes, I guess.
I think Omar and Lindsay are going to go after each other before
eventually.
Before the four.
Right. So do you think they got rid of Drea too soon?
Although that's the thing is now Jonathan is this target for Lindsay, and if Omar is able to use that against her, I think Omar will probably get Lindsay out.
I couldn't also help it but think when Mike, he's hugging and kissing Drea after they vote her out there. He's like, I'm going to come visit you in Canada. And there was like one of the only times they kind of referenced the whole, like of this final 7, 3 were from Canada. Now Drea's voted out. So 2 of these final 6, Omar and Marianne from Canada. And of course, Erica, the last winner, they don't know that there was just recently a Canadian winner as well. But we could get 2 back-to-back Canadian winners here.
Which should be insane.
Which proves that we're smarter.
Yeah.
They put like a halt on Canadian casting.
Yeah. They're
like, where are you from? Buffalo, New York. Too close to Canada. Vote.
This is like when the Blue Jays went back to back, and then the Expos were poised to win the World Series after that.
So
and
they
then,
will be at a strike.
And they're like, no, we're having a strike. We can't have 3 Canadian teams win in a row. This has to end.
Yep.
No.
So anyway, I think we can probably wrap it up, guys, and call it a show. But let us know what you think in the comments about how the season's going and who you're rooting for, and what you're kind of looking to see maybe play out as we only got 2 episodes left. This will be ending on May 25th. So we got next week, May 18th, and then May 25th will be the finale for Survivor 42. And also, if you didn't know, we just finished covering up Big Brother Canada 10. That was like a 10-week journey. We went through most of those episodes, recapping them and analyzing them. And
missed Monday episodes.
There was a few misses here, but I'd say that we did the lion's share of the episodes, breaking that all down. So if you're planning to watch that season, or if you've already watched that season, check out our coverage over there in those playlists, as well as Big Brother Canada 9 and other seasons of Big Brother as well.
Dave, you're absolutely right. I strongly advise anyone who's going back to watch previous seasons of Survivor, especially the more recent ones, or Big Brother Canada, just follow the playlist along. Watch the episode, watch our coverage. It pairs up perfectly, also with a nice Chardonnay as well.
Yes.
3 pieces, perfect.
Absolutely. It's a great pairing.
Yes.
I agree completely. Also, we talk about other shows here on Super Mario Brothers Podcast, including scripted shows. Jeff, did you see that Westworld is coming back in June?
Oh, cool.
Season, was it 4? I guess it will be.
Season 4. I'm not happy.
Yeah, Jameel's we're not going to be here for that.
It only took 4 years.
Because I wanted it to be after July so that they have an activation at Comic-Con. But because it's going to be earlier, they're not going to do anything for it. So I'm like, boo, that sucks.
I saw like the trailer tonight on ET Canada, or was it ET? Yeah, it was ET Canada.
Was Jesse Pinkman in it?
I didn't see Jesse Pinkman. I just saw a lot of the Watcher guy. What's his name?
Okay, good. Because I wasn't really digging the Caleb character.
Yeah, I didn't see. It was kind of a lot of new faces actually I was seeing in this Westworld trailer. Sorry, I'm trying to remember his name.
What was the theme? Because we've got
the song that they picked was "Oh, what a special day! I'm glad I spent it with you." You know that one? Oh, what a perfect day! I'm glad I spent it with you. You know, all that. So that's the theme, I guess. I don't know that it's that they're doing something very different. I heard they're going back to maybe the park this season. We'll see.
Did he have a beard? It's like, we have to go back, Kate. We have to go back.
Yeah. And there was some numbers, and it's all flash forwards. But who's to say? Westworld is usually just completely way out there conceptually. Really interesting show. It's been 2 years since the last season. Jeff and I were covering that during the beginning of the pandemic. So last time there was we had any new Westworld episodes. Plus, at some point, Jeff and I are going to sit down and talk about Ozark, the ending of that. We'll get around to that. It probably won't be this weekend. I'm going to be away in Nova Scotia this weekend. But and then what else, Jeff, did we want to talk? Oh, we wanted to talk about Doctor Strange and Moon Knight eventually too. So hopefully we will get to those. And Severance, yes.
My Audi wants to talk about Severance.
Yeah, my innies, just wants the melon and the egg bar.
Wait, we're gonna have a waffle party.
Waffle party. And weird interpretive dance with some masks. So yeah, if you want to hear about all those things, check them out. Eventually, we'll talk about them. We're on no schedule. And then check out our Live Long and Podcast, our Star Trek theme channel, where we talk about new and old Star Trek all the time. Just wrapped up Picard season 2. We are now into Star Trek Strange New Worlds. They just had their premiere last Thursday. We'll be talking tomorrow, Thursday. Jodie Simpson, David Skellhorn, Kevin Millard, and I breaking down episode 2. It's called Children of the Comet. I'm really digging that new Star Trek show. And we also on Monday nights have our Star Trek Enterprise rewatch review podcast, going through episode by episode of a 20-year-old show that was starred Scott Bakula. If you want to see
20-year-old show.
It's so long ago, and they did back in the old days. But we've covered a lot of different Star Trek TV and movie. If you want to know what we think about Star Trek, check that out. We also have Star Trek Radio Theater, which I'm still in post-production on the most recent one, but I eventually will get around to finishing that edit.
Which we're going to talk about offline. I have some. We're going to talk.
Okay, we'll talk, and then Trivial Debates is our other channel where we're arguing about movies, TV, sports in a game show format. We just did one with Eamon Mader hosting for the end of April. Looking probably to do one around May 29th. I still don't know who's doing that, but I'll figure that out eventually. So, and then check out our friends podcast, the Hellbound podcast with Michael Chan and Alex Blackburn every Wednesday. They talk about horror. We got Eamon Mader's podcast. Let's talk about fighting games. He does as Sam Jerka with his friends talking about fighting games, like not Mega Man, more like King of Fighters and stuff.
But
and
Mega
then,
Man shows up in Marvel vs. Capcom, which is a fighter.
Right. And then Davin Skellhorn, our cousin from Nova Scotia, he's got Locutors of Trek with his friend Dave. They talk about Star Trek. They do trivia. They do Writers Room pitches, all kinds of fun stuff. And also X-Men, the animated series, X-Rated, every Tuesday with his friend Andre, going through those episodes from the classic cartoon of the 90s, which has a revival set to come up in the near future. So check out all of our friends' podcasts. And thanks for being with us tonight to talk about Battle Royale, as it was.
Battle Royale right now.
That's right. Glad you were with us, and we'll see you next time, everybody. Until then.
This is the ideal way, in my mind, for Survivor to be played.
That's right. Good night.
Good night.